Good morning, all students who have joined. Good morning all and welcome everyone to today's session. We're just waiting for another couple of minutes for some more participants to join because being Saturday, lots of meetings, etc. are going on at the departmental level. So let's wait for a couple of minutes, sir.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. I think that will be better. I think if 2-3 more minutes and then we can have more and then we can start. Yes.
Yeah.
So the start will be for common for all. So we can do that. Yeah.
Right.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Sushmita ma'am.
Good morning, sir. Sir, we're just waiting for, I think we can start now.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. A very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined this webinar session today. I'm Dr. Sushmita Ray, professor in the Department of Computer Science and Technology of Manav Rachna University. So on behalf of the Institution Innovation Council of Manav Rachna University, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all the deans, HODs and students of MRU and also some other participants external to MRU who have joined the session. So with this, I'd like to invite Dr. Subodh Saluja of Management and Commerce Department to take the session forward. Dr. Subodh has got 19 years of experience in diverse industries, IT, staffing, and higher education. He has worked as entrepreneur in organizations where he started new lines of business by developing some, innovative products business within the organization. He loves to share his knowledge to students. He believes shaping the young generation will shape the future of our country and the world, and will be able to make this new India. Okay, so with that, over to you, Subodh sir. Please take the
Yeah,
section forward.
sure. Thank you, Smita ma'am, for the nice introduction. So, very good morning to everyone, and I welcome you to this session through IIC, MRU IIC, and the topic being what it takes, to be an entrepreneur. So, and the topic is attitude and behavior development. So, here in this today's session, we'll be focusing in terms of what is the behaviors and what are the quality or the traits which are required for somebody to be an entrepreneur. Feel free to pause in between in case you have something to share, you want to ask like that. So, it is most welcome in the session today. So let me take you through the agenda. So starting is the introduction. Then we will talk about the characteristics of the entrepreneurs in terms of the traits which are required. The third is the skills needed. Also, we'll talk about that how do you pitch to the investors, what is the way forward, some best tips and techniques. The next point being building a team and how can the entrepreneurs utilize the power of social media to their advantage. And towards the end, we will have the conclusion. So starting with the first point, an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur is basically a person, who has a purpose, and having that purpose in the focus, in turn, he takes this through his passion and expertise, and he taps the business opportunity or a market opportunity in terms of creating the business. So unless and until there is a purpose which a person has, there is a need of the society, then only the entrepreneurship will happen. And passion is definitely required because unless and until there is a zeal and the enthusiasm of the person, then only the drive will be there to take it forward. Because the journey of entrepreneurship is not so easy, but yes, it may be difficult also, but yes, people get into that area and do that. So, if I ask you a question that out of 100 people who want to become entrepreneur, let us say start as an entrepreneur. So the question to you all is that what percentage of those, become successful entrepreneurs? So somebody can, maybe unmute or you want to type a text, maybe you can let me know. So if 100 people start off to become an entrepreneur, what percentage of people become successful entrepreneurs?
Less than 3%.
Yeah, very good. So excellent answer. Thanks for the participation. So 2 to 3% is the success rate of becoming an entrepreneur. But yes, that does not deter anybody, those who want to become entrepreneur, because they have a vision, they have a dream, they have a desire, they have a purpose, and they see that whatever they are developing, whether it's a product or it is a service they are doing, it is going to have an impact onto the society, And those, are the people who finally become successful and become successful entrepreneurs. So moving on next, so we will discuss these points one by one in terms of the traits and the attitude which is required to become an entrepreneur. So the number one factor is, curiosity. So unless and until, this factor of curiosity that, okay, why can I make a change? Does the existence system, needs a change? So are you curious about new things? That how does it happen? Why does it happen? Can I bring a change? So if you're curious about those things, then only something may come up or develop. So, give you this one of the example. So let us say these our trains, they are the coaches which are running. I mean, for the last 60 years, 70 years, more than that. So unless and until there is a curiosity, can I make the suspension system much more better? Can I bring much more comfort to the passengers? Then you will kind of start thinking in terms of, if you are a technology guy, then in terms of how the suspension springs can be made much more better and, better. So unless and until you have the curiosity about the things, so an entrepreneur basically has a curiosity in terms of why does it happen. So the questions are always there in the mind of the entrepreneur. Why, how, when, where can I make a difference? So this is one of the basic and a very important characteristic of the entrepreneur. Number two is structured experimentation. So what does structured experimentation means? It basically means, when you go out into the market as an entrepreneur, you do a kind of a research. You go meet people, ask questions, and using that, it's a scientific method or a study in terms of doing research. And from there, you try to draw the inferences. Is there a need of this product in the market? Can I really, make it happen? So this knowledge and this skill or characteristics of an entrepreneur of doing structured experimentation. So one is like unstructured, which means you just go meet anybody anywhere in the market and then you try to do. The other is you go and follow a structured way of questions and then you survey that into the market. You do a kind of apply some tools and then you try to draw some inference from that. So that is the second quality of the entrepreneur, structured experimentation. Number three, adaptability. So adaptability is again a very key ingredient and a requirement. If you look at yourself, this COVID times, I'm sure, India obviously, we have adapted to the changing world of education, moving from offline classes to the online classes, students also getting glued to the screens and kind of, adapting to this, the way how this 1 year went of being at home, taking the classes there, teachers moving from the offline world and getting into the virtual world of speaking to a screen and not having that personal interaction. So if you look at this point, adaptability is there in everybody. But then thing is, some are highly adaptable, which means given the circumstances which are there, they are able to adapt even to the tough circumstances which are there. So for example, somebody has not, climbed onto the mountain which is filled with snow. And let us say as a starter, you do it for the first time. So are you able to adapt to that harsh environment, less oxygen, high temperature of cold wind breezing along like that? So adaptability, adapting to the situations which are there, adapting to the market situations, adapting to the changes happening within the organization, adapting to the changes happening in the people. Because, you let us say you form a team of 10 people, maybe after 3 years, the team gets changed. So are you able to adapt to that thing? Changing clients, the environment. A client has given you a new change to, new product to make. They say, okay, we were doing this, but this is what I want. Are you adaptable to that change? If yes, yes, you are in. And that is a very important characteristic of an entrepreneur. Number four, decisiveness. So what is decisiveness? It is the ability to make a decision and take a decision and go ahead with it. And this is very important. There are organizations, which may say, okay, we have 5 product lines, but we will stop the production of this line because it is no longer required. So let us take an example of Tata Nano. Tata Nano was a dream of Ratan Tata to make a 1 lakh rupee car, and he did accomplish that. Even though the cost was very high by the time this prototype was made and it went into production, but Ratan Tata, he said that since I have made a promise of I am going to introduce a $2,500 car or a 1 lakh rupee car, this is what is going to be the price point for the car when it will get enter into the market. So that was a decision which he took, even though yes, whatever the amount of loss would have been there, but he said yes, what I have committed and a decision has been taken, it has to be taken ahead. So that is the mark of a leader, and that is the mark of an entrepreneur, which is very required. Decisiveness, the ability to take the decisions and staying with that decision, because the others are going to follow your decision. You are the leader. So everybody in the team is going to look up to you as the leader, and that is the mark of an entrepreneur. Number 5, confidence. Confidence is the basic ability. It is the ability to be feeling confident about yourself first, that yes, whatever I'm doing, yes, I'm confident about it. I mean, I am having that in the right spirit. Confidence is required when an entrepreneur meets the investors, when you are hiring a team. So let us say you are the first employee of the organization. Why should somebody join you? There are so many brands existing in the market. Google is there, Microsoft is there, so many brands are there, and you want to hire a technical person. Why that technical person should join you, your organization, and you as a leader when there are so many players? So you need to exuberate that confidence that you join my team, we are doing something different. This is something new which we are making. And this is how, when you work in my team, in our organization, you are going to make an impact to the world. You are going to make an impact to the society. And that only happens when you exuberate, when you have that confidence, where you believe in yourself, and then you go out and you communicate. So confidence is required at every step of entrepreneurship, whether it is building a team, whether it is convincing a client to buy your product or a service. Confidence is required. Number 6, team building. Very important quality to have as an entrepreneur. The ability to find the right set of people for your team. That is an ability of an entrepreneur. As a leader, you don't have to look at the copy version of yourself, Control C, Control V, no. What you're looking as an entrepreneur, you need to have people in your team with diverse set of backgrounds and ability to embrace that diverse mindset, because that diverse mindset and the different people is going to make your organization much more better. So team building is very important in terms of what people you onboard, because the initial people, the leadership which you have apart from you as a CEO, CFO, HR head, financial head, operations head, whatever people you bring in, and they in turn the kind of the culture that you set up in for your organization is what matters as an entrepreneur. So next point, risk tolerance. How much you are tolerant in terms of taking risks. There are so many people who have spent like 15 years, 10 years in organizations like say Microsoft or Google, and then they say, okay, I want to return back to India and I'll start my own company. Don't you think it is a very high risk? You are having a very cushy job, and in the so-called the Silicon Valley in USA, and you are maybe a program head leading a very great project in Microsoft. But then one day you suddenly decide, no, I want to come back to India and I want to start my, let us say, for example, an edutech company, education technology company, because I'm passionate about education. I want to create something new in the platform, and I will utilize my experience of 10 years being in Microsoft, and I will do that. Such a big risk. But that ability to tolerate taking that risk and the ability, that is very important for an entrepreneur. The next point, having comfort with failure, very important. So let us say this guy comes from US to India, has spent 10 years in Microsoft, good salary, perks, everything. Comes to India, he tries his hand of starting his edutech company, and this person fails. What will be the questions asked to him by the society, by his friends, peers? Maybe he tried it for 3 years. His friend became a vice president in Microsoft. He left there as an AVP and all those things. So, do you have that ability to take failure in your stride? Because in the starting of the session, we said 2-3% become successful. So, do you have that ability of being comfortable with failure? That's again a very necessary ability in order to become an entrepreneur. The next quality, persistence. Persistence is definitely, and it's an ability to persist even if there are roadblocks which are there. For example, you started a company to provide services to the government organizations in the country. Maybe you have come up with some GPS tracking tool and some system. Initially, you are pitching to the state government, you're going giving presentations. But the thing is that the mechanism is very slow. They say, okay, it is taking 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, and still you don't really see a deal coming in. But the thing is, as an entrepreneur, you keep that persistence on. No, I'm going to crack the deal. I'm going to get the project because I believe what I'm offering. Me and my team, we believe what we have made, the product or a service, it is going to happen. It may take time. It may take time to nurture, but finally I am going to crack it and make it a success. So persistence is very important. So taking an example, when Deep Kalra started Make My Trip in the year 2000, so there were various roadblocks which came. 2008, global recession, forget about this travel company, people are not, companies are not investing in travel, people are not investing in travel, so many people lost their jobs. But Deep Kalra, he persisted. He believed that yes, the internet slowly and steadily is going to rise and there will be more access to this portal, this market, there will be a need. And then he persisted with it, and finally we see what Make My Trip is as on today in the year 2022. So that is what is persistence is all about. Staying consistent and believing in that you are on the right path, in the right journey. And then the team also believes in you, because the leader first has to be convinced himself. If you are convinced yourself, then only you can convince others which are there. So that's again a basic quality. The next requirement as an entrepreneur, innovation. If you look at the examples around you, whether it is Zomato, whether it is Swiggy, or it is Make My Trip, or in fact the company Byju's, which is there. So these are the people who have constantly, or Paytm by Shekhar Sharma. So they have already thought about that something what we are making, it is going to impact, and that is something new. Payment wallets like that. Many years ago, in fact, before demonetization, who thought of that? You will be making payments in the shops using your mobile and using the app called as Paytm. If I give the personal example, for the last 2 years, 99.99% times the payments which have been made by me is through Paytm. So that's the power of the innovation in terms of bringing change, making lives easier. So no transaction of those notes and coins and all that thing. And especially in the time of demonetization, when the 2000 rupee note or a currency was difficult to get, and you are able to do that. So that's innovation. How you can build something new and bring a change. And so that's the disruption. Apple came up with a touch phone, just one button and the all remaining the touch screen, and you can do that. So innovation, again, a quality of an entrepreneur. The next point, long-term focus. So as an entrepreneur, one looks at the long-term focus. So you don't think of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but you look at the next 15 years, 20 years, and that's the characteristic of an entrepreneur. So let us move on to the next slide. So this talks about, so in terms of, questions coming to your mind, is it the right time to start a business? Do I have a business idea? Are you prepared to do a kind of a pilot project and a pivot and adapt? Do you have a strong team, or do you have the ability to form one strong team? And are you prepared with the possibility of a failure? And the question that why do you want to be an entrepreneur? So the tip here is that just we should not like becoming an entrepreneur just because it's fancy. So it's like quote unquote the word fancy. Is it just fancy that you go out in the market and say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur? Does that really help? So one example I'm going to take here. So the Shark Tank, which started the episodes and the Sony Entertainment Television, which had come. So they were like two entrepreneurs who had come for the last 10 years. They have been, coming up with one of the product which was there, and they were able to make a sale of only 1 lakh rupee or 2 lakh rupee a month. So when so-called these sharks, they asked the question, it has been 10 years, your sales, that's the first question. What is the sales in the last quarter? You should have to be good at numbers. 1 lakh rupee, 2 lakh rupee sale per month. This is not, what is required. So this was a suggestion given by the angel investors saying that persistence is okay. But when even after 10 years, when there is a no growth in your organization, you are still struggling to have that 1 lakh rupee, 2 lakh rupee sale. So no point in going ahead with that. You have a family business, go ahead and do that family business. So thing is, just because your friend told that, or maybe you thought to become an entrepreneur, so you have to really convince yourself and be sure about the idea. Do you have really an idea which makes a business potential? Because it is said that ideas sell dozen a dime. The ideas are there. The reality is that you have to make it and implement it. Some examples which are there who are like entrepreneurs who have done well in the organization. So there are also people, that's also one category which is available. So Indira Anui became a global CEO because she grew the organization, developed business lines. So in fact, she acted as an entrepreneur in the organization, and the term which we called is entrepreneurship instead of entrepreneurship, INTRA. So thing is, there are different ways and means in which you still have that ability or skill of being an entrepreneur. You start your own company or you work within an organization trying to bring that change. And so these are the questions which you need to ask yourself. So we talked about the attitude in terms of the personality traits and the behaviors. Next is in terms of the skills which you need as an entrepreneur. So number one is the financial skills. So one is how do you really manage money? So I'm going to give you an example here. So Snapdeal, at one time they just ran out of the money. They got a lot of funding from the angel investors, venture capitalists, and I could see in fact the different offices being opened by Snapdeal. They were hiring people left and right, which is there. A fresher, a techie being hired at 8 lakh rupee salary, 10 lakh rupee salary, like that. And then what happened is, since the financial management did not happen in that manner, then finally they had to let go of some people when there was a financial crunch. So thing is that financial skills, the ability to manage the inflow of the money, the outflow of the money, how much do I have, how much I can spend, which is the place I need to spend the money. So financial skills is again a skill which is required to be an entrepreneur. The next is the skill of networking. So this ability is very much required in terms of, you have to connect. You have to make a connect to the angel investor. You have to connect to the clients. How do you convince that? How do you kind of convey your thoughts? And how do you collaborate your network? When you are even hiring as an entrepreneur, if you're already networked, so let us say you have a friend in management, one in technical side, one is good in finance, because you are networked, then you can make a team also in a quite short amount of time with the right set of people. So networking is a very great ability of the entrepreneurs, of going around, meeting people, connecting with them, and that's the skill which is required by an entrepreneur. Number three, the ability to accept and act on feedback. So one is that somebody gives you a feedback, a criticism about the product that you made, and then you say, oh, I think I am the technical guy, who can else tell much better than me? Who is he to tell me that whether this product which I have made is the right or wrong? That won't really work with an entrepreneur. So the ability to accept on the feedback which you receive from your team members, the subordinates, your colleagues, and all that, from the customers, and then that ability to take into your stride that this is the way how you can improve it better, you can make it better. So ability to accept and then act on feedback is again a very important quality of an entrepreneur as a skill which is needed. Number 4, pattern recognition. So let us try to understand what do you mean by pattern recognition. So pattern recognition means, let us say you have done a pilot kind of a launch of the product, and then you are starting slowly and steadily to understand the market, where it is going, what do my customers need. So you are able to understand, okay, this is the product which I have made and the sales happen in this time, or maybe this is the segment in which I focus on. I can make much more sales into that area. So the thing is, ability to understand the data analytics, we can say data analytics, and ability to understand the patterns, how in terms of sales, the patterns about the consumer behavior. That is again a very important quality, and then you can make changes to your service accordingly to that. So one example here is iPhone made in the year 2008 and iPhone being made in the year 2022. Definitely there's a difference. So there are updates made in terms of technology, in terms of making it lighter, making it much more in terms of photographs, making the system much more robust, adding more security, adding more features. So this keep on getting updated. So you keep on updating because this is what the customer needs, and then you create the product and the service according to that. So that was the point number 4, the skill needed, pattern recognition. Number 5, strategic thinking. So in terms of strategy, you really need to think in that, okay, this is the product I'm making. What is the roadmap for this product for the next 5 years? iPhone came in 2008. Even after 14 years, it does exist. So I'm sure there's a very robust model which has been put in terms of the product development team that people are definitely buying. In fact, they're ready to spend 1 lakh rupee on a mobile phone and even more than that, because this is the value which this product brings to them. A brand advantage, a brand value, and the ability of the people to say, okay, I am an Apple user and I have an iPhone or I have an iPad. So you are feeling as proud as a customer. So thinking from the strategy, the next 5 years roadmap comes as a strategic thinking. The next skill set needed is negotiation skills. So whether you are having your suppliers, whether it is the customers, or when you are interacting with, let us say you want to hire somebody at lower cost, but the best guy to be there. So negotiation with the angel investors, with the venture capitalists, like in the serial Shark Tank, let us say the shark or the investor proposes, I want a 10% equity and I'm ready to give you 50 lakhs. But then this entrepreneur, he says, okay, what I'll do is I negotiated with you. I can give you 5% equity. Is it okay with you? Because the entrepreneur knows that this angel investor is interested and he is going to invest the money in my product, because my product, I can see the growth, and this angel investor also sees the growth in my service or the product which I am offering. So why should I give him 20% equity or a 10% equity? Let me lower down, let me negotiate with the angel investor. And because why I should give my organizations equity to more to outside world. So this is an ability to negotiate. It will help you in every stage of your being an entrepreneur. And the last but not the least is the growth mindset. So growth mindset says the ability to move ahead even when there are tough times, and you believe that this product or the service which you as an entrepreneur are offering, it is going to make difference. So this is the mindset you need to have, the ability to be resilient, ability to stay strong even in the tough times, and having that perseverance, growth mindset. So these were some of the skills needed to be an entrepreneur. And this is how the journey begins. You want to make a difference, you have an idea, implementation is the key, hard work, and if you have a purpose of making a difference to people's lives and with the passion which is there, and initially you have tried and tested some model like a prototype which is there, a physical prototype or a soft prototype. Nowadays, in fact, you have software, you can make even cars and test it with the wind speed and all those tests using the computer, and you can do that. So ultimately it starts with an idea. You need to have an idea and then you go ahead, and that is how your entrepreneurship journey begins. If you look at an example of Canva, so Canva is a tool, maybe some of you have used it in order to create, the templates, the graphics, which is there. And so thing is, when there was a need, there were, very expensive software which were available in the market. So they were two these, one girl and boy in an Australian university. They thought that can we make something which is there, which can make it easier for people to, kind of make these social media graphics, presentations, business cards, and we should offer it for free. And this is how the Canva, this company, came up in the year 2012. And Melanie Perkins is the Canva CEO. In fact, she went to US to pitch this particular, get funding for her, this venture Canva. So Canva, this is the French name for the word canvas, so which means you can design something. And this name was also given by a team member from the team that you can give the name to the company as Canva. So Melanie, she went to the US. She met a guy called as Guy Kawasaki. In fact, he has been there 20 years. He was an angel investor. So she pitched her idea to him, and then Guy Kawasaki, he liked this particular idea. And then he said, okay, I'm ready to invest in your company. And he's an evangelist for this particular company. And now it has been almost 10 years and this company is growing. And in fact, they are offering different features. So one is a free solution for you, for us as users. The other is a paid solution. So ultimately, the thing is you need to find out that what is the market need and develop your solutions according to that. So what do the entrepreneurs do? They tell a story. As you can see in the Shark Tank, how it happened. People used to come, somebody was dressed up in a dhoti and he's trying to pitch, making a pitch. Somebody in a different way, somebody telling a kind of a poem to the sharks and like that. So what you do is you tell a story and you imbibe your business idea into it. And when you're telling a story, you are able to link the purpose with the passion. Like one of the person, he said that his mother was unwell and he could not get the right treatment, and then he created his own kind of a product which is there, some medicine like that, and he was able to create a solution starting from home for his mother, and now he wants to take it to the market. So we are able to kind of provide a solution, and you are able to link that passion with your purpose and expertise. So taglines, they make small taglines, which is like Nike says, just do it. So whether to have two people or one, that's the question mark. But it is generally said that it's good to have a company. So Deep Kalra was taking a session, the founder of Make My Trip. He said it is better to have two, because then you are like have a shoulder to kind of cry upon and maybe discuss all those things which are there. It is ideally good to start two. This is the recommendation. Even if you look at Flipkart, so two founders which were there. So always good to start two. That's the recommendation. So product or a service. Freemium model basically means, like say you have Canva. So initially you offer the service for free and then you start charging as you have more people like that. So one example I can give here is like the person who started this website like imjobs.com. So initially he started a service free, for the users, and then finally after making it, usable for the users, for the companies, he was able to charge the premium. And now they are charging the fees for a 6-month subscription to that model. So it depends the way you want to start your business, freemium model and later and all that thing. That is something which you can decide and take it forward. If you look at an example of Apple, making things easier for the user to do. And this is the kind of thing which entrepreneurs, they basically do. They also create a product or a service that is unique and creates value. Seed money is the initial money that you need when you are starting the business. So maybe the family, your own money. Like if you had seen this Shark Tank. So there were many entrepreneurs who returned from US and they said we have invested our own money, 30-40 lakhs into the entrepreneurship, and that is the seed money which has been done, and they incubate the business, they test the ideas, and finally to scale business they go to the angel investors and they seek money from them. Some mistakes to be looked on by the entrepreneur. So being over optimism, that not seeing the market signs, not able to do the research. In fact, going ahead in the market without a proper research is a big mistake, because you don't know how the market will react. And when you are hiring, don't look for clones and don't have that obsession to control everything. You need to give the task to the person who is expert in that. If you have a great marketing guy, give that marketing task to the marketing guy. You have a great financial guy, give that task and believe in him. He's going to do a good job of managing the finances. You have a great operations guy in your team, give the task, believe in him and do that. And some entrepreneurs, they don't deliver on the promise made, big problem. You need to deliver the promises which you have made to the customer, the promises which you have made to the angel investor, deliver on to that promise. And just using a simple math, okay, India has a population of 138 crores. Whatever product I am making, I have a 1% market. Really, it does not work that way. You really need to understand, just imagining that, having that thing 1% means 1.5 crore market I have, may or may not work. To be tested using that model of surveys and pilot projects, very important. So when you have to make a great pitch, start with a personal story. So this was an example of Skippy Ice Pops. Again, example from the Shark Tank, which was there. So they basically developed a product in which you can, you can take it from the market, put it into the freezer. This ice pops, it will turn into ice, it will get frozen, and then you can enjoy those ice pops. So again, this was an example whereby when they were having this kind of a problem and they were in the US, and they could see that if they buy these ice pops, it used to melt. So they finally thought we'll make a product. They came to India and they're using all the no artificial flavors, everything which is naturally flavored, and they got a good investment from the so-called the sharks in the Shark Tank India. So some pitches they sell well, some pitches they fail. But then the thing is your idea or the product able to convince the angel investor? And also very important, when you are making the pitch, do not argue with the angel investors. It is you who need the money. Maybe you can talk about with them later. So take that time and maybe have another meeting. But very important, when you are doing a pitch, never argue with the angel investors. Always say, I'll come back to you. We can discuss it again. Ask for another meeting. And maybe that really helps to maybe convince, maybe clear your doubts, or maybe they have or you have with the angel investors. Sales, very important. Be very comfortable with the numbers. And these numbers should be there on your tips. Last quarter sales, last 6 months sales, projection for the next quarter, 6 months down the line, how it is going to be. And if required, definitely practice your pitch, maybe 10 times, 20 times. The more you practice your pitch, it will make a difference. And before making the pitch, again, as it is said, the survey is very important. Know your investors very well. Do they have anything in common? Can you connect with them? Maybe you are talking about your pizza venture. Maybe one of the angel investor loves pizza. Can you make a connect? Does that help? Building the connect, very important. And don't say nay to the competition. No to the competition. Understand who's your competitors. So initially angel investors or the venture capitalist, step by step, starting you need to decide onto that. So when you make a pitch to the angel investors, then the follow-up is very important, and the less is more. So when you write a short email and you are making the right pitch and you're talking about yourself, who you are, what you want to do, and how you can proceed ahead, no big attachments, nobody is going to read your 10-pager email. So less is more. That is very important in communication with the angel investors. And it's a very patient game. Angel investors or venture capitalists, you need to wait. Follow up is the key. Persistence is the key. And that is where you will be able to achieve success. So team building, this is a point which we discuss a bit on that. So in terms of team, great HR person, great operations management, we need to have great administration, creators, sales, different skill sets we need to have in the team, and people who have different ideas, that is very important. Use the power of social media. In today's world, the best place to do marketing is nothing but the social media. So whether it is the professional network, LinkedIn, Twitter, then you have Facebook, Instagram, just look at all those sources and ensure that who handles the social media is a seasoned guy and not just somebody who has just started. No. So it should be given to somebody who's an expert and can leverage the power of the social media for you, because social media is your branding and marketing for your organization. It is the face of your organization. It is the communication which goes out to the clients of yours, to the people, to the world. It's a face to the world. It's a window of your organization to the world. Use the power of social media. So create, post, refine. You create something, post it, refine it. Again, it's an iterative process. So keep on doing that. Leverage the power of social media. So coming to the conclusion of this session, so entrepreneurship at the end, it's all about perseverance, hard work, your passion, your commitment to the idea, and having that knack of the business idea. Reading these success stories, yes, definitely may inspire you, but ultimately this is your journey which you have to undertake and create and take it ahead. As a leader, you are the one who has to take the first plunge. The others are going to follow you. So there is, I think, one of the story which says that there were a group of the people. In fact, this example comes from the Canva itself. So the boy and the girl which was there. So the boy who was a part of this founding team of Canva, when there was an outing done by in the college time. So this guy who was the co-founder of Canva, he went ahead and started to dance alone, solo, the music which was being played as a part of the college outing. And then after 3-4 minutes, one person joined him. Then when this person joined him, then this particular leader, he encouraged him and he started to participate and dance with him. Looking at these two people, then 2 or 3 more students, they start joining in, and now it was basically 5-6 people who were dancing to that particular song. And the next 1 minute, it is like a kind of you can say a flood happened, where all these students, just by looking at this thing that okay, everybody is dancing to the tune and the song, finally everybody started dancing, and that's the power of the leader. But ultimately, from this example, as you can see, he started solo when nobody was there in this uncharted territory by him. And when people were maybe smiling, giggling, laughing, oh, he's just dancing on his own, nobody else is there with him, but he believed in himself. And that one follower created more followers, and finally it became like a tsunami or a flood, and everybody. And that's the mark of a leader, of starting solo, and that ability of going ahead, being a leader, which is there. So go ahead and make a difference. That's the suggestion. And so wishing all the best to all of you in your journey for entrepreneurship. So that is there from my side. Any questions? I welcome you all in the remaining time what we have for the session. Yes, any questions, any thoughts, any comments which you have? Everyone who has joined the session.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, I have one question. In an organization, how an attitude can shape the behavior of a person?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question here. So see, attitude is the way you behave. Ultimately, this is what determines your behavior. So let us say if you have a positive attitude, and that this is what you embrace. So what you are going to do is, in your team members, your colleagues, you are going to bring the positivity in them. So your attitude determines your behavior, and that behavior in turn will determine where you achieve success in your organization. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, feel free to ask. This is a time to ask questions. We'll be happy to hear from you. Yeah.
Yes, Subodh sir has delivered the session beautifully. I request all participants to ask questions. You can unmute yourselves and put questions, or can put questions on the chat window if you have difficulty in, switching on your mic. Yeah. We have still 10 minutes almost to take questions. I think sir has cited a lot of examples to make you understand the concepts.
Sir, one more question I have.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, for an organization, a leader is better or a manager is better?
Okay, good. So thing is, see, a leader is a manager also. So if you look at a CEO of a company, this person has those team members reporting to him and he's managing those people. So leader is a manager also. But it may happen that a manager may or may not be a leader. That can be a situation. I'll give you an example. Sometimes, like I've seen in technology companies, what happens is when the company is growing, they will make somebody who's a very good in techie is there as a team leader. But it may happen that maybe this technical person is not a people's person. Maybe he's not, does not know how to really interact, take people along and all those skills. And in fact, trainings are provided. So a manager may or may not be a leader, but leader is a manager. So that is the thing. Yeah. I think very good question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Just wait, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no issues. Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some noise around, so I am.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
when women entrepreneurs are there, and so many challenges one goes through. So about that, when a lady is educated, literate, and if another is not that high literate or educated,
Right.
how does it affect the entrepreneurial journey?
Okay. Okay, so very good question. In fact, I'll like to answer your question with an example. Everybody has heard of Lijjat Papad? Or maybe you eat this Lijjat Papad, anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. It has been years with us, I think. So Lijjat Papad was started, and this was village woman who started this part. So lady in the village, she used to make a very good papad, and then the thing is, so this was the opportunity. She started to sell it to the nearby villages, and that is how she grown it. So I think the degrees are not the basic requirement to be an entrepreneur. I mean, if you have a knowledge, yeah, that is good. But somebody who is not that much can definitely start a business. I mean, if you look at entrepreneurship is all around. Even if you look at a chai wala or a pan wala shop, he's an entrepreneur because he's managing his daily cash in, cash out, what products to be purchased daily, everything. I mean, they're managing their own business. Maybe that is a fifth pass or a 10th pass, but they are entrepreneur on their own. Yeah, they may not be like huge, like say Ambani is 1,60,000 crore and way that, but it's a small mini business. They are a business owner. And India is full of these. In fact, this is the highest number, maybe in lakhs or maybe more. We have very micro entrepreneurships already existing in the country. It is there. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Any more question?
In fact, nowadays, the government are launching so many schemes, especially for women entrepreneurship. It is just that we need to go to Google, type in schemes for women entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of organizations which are supporting women in their entrepreneurship journey. So that is out there in today's world. Just with the power of the internet, you can have access to the information, and using that information, one can become an entrepreneur and take the next steps to it. So many organizations are supporting the budding entrepreneurs. Like we have this National Entrepreneurship Network, which is supporting the budding entrepreneurs, school students, and like that. the Institute Innovation Council cell, which is there in the universities. We have like this with Manav, Rachna conducting these sessions and all. So the support structure is there. And in fact, the National Innovation Startup Policy already made by the Ministry of Education, which is out, which means a student can spend 6 months or 1 year of their degree working on their idea, and they can get credits for their in the subjects which is there. So I think the ecosystem is perfectly fine now. It is just that we need to be aware of what is the support structure which is already exists, and how we can leverage the existing support structure which we have from the university, from the government, from the organizations, and move ahead with the entrepreneurship journey. Yeah. Yes. Any further questions?
So I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, what piece of advice would you give to the college graduate who want to become an entrepreneur? If you had a chance to start your career over again, what would be differently, and what do you say for 2-3 skills needed to the successful entrepreneur?
Okay, so I think these are multiple questions binded together, but good, good to see that. See, the first to your first question, I'd like to answer is that start early. So let us say if you're a BTech student, you have 4 years. So why not try with some idea when you are in the second semester or third semester, where you have 3 more years in the college itself, or even when you are in the second year, because then you will have this support system. In BTech, when the final semester is anyways for entrepreneurship, and let us say you start in the final year, you still have 1 year to spend, work on that idea, and you will be getting those pointers to that which is there in the college. So you have the support. So start early. That is going to be my the first point. The second is in terms of the qualities which you would require is, so being in the college, you have the support structure which is there. Even you can go for funding like 2.5 lakhs from DST and all that. The structure, you have mentors here, teachers, professors, the even mentors from the industries we also give to the students. I mean, that's the support structure which we give. So take that help, take that mentorship, and so these qualities of perseverance, and get an idea which is you think is a business idea which is there. So I think that ability to stay strong, have that persistence, and that ability as a student to have mentors. So take that mentorship. This is going to be the second tip to you, to your question regarding what qualities as a student which you would have. So take help of the mentors and utilize to the maximum benefit. And the third question which you had was, so let us say after your degree, let us say the venture works out or does not work out. For example, something does not really work out or click. In fact, you will be the first one to be picked up by any technical organization, because you have spent 2 years or 3 years as an entrepreneur, and companies bond the entrepreneurs with them. So even if let us say you join as a programmer, if you're a BTech guy, or say as a management trainee, you will be in today's world, the organizations welcome the failed entrepreneurs as an employee, because they believe that a failed entrepreneur who has an all-round knowledge of sales, business development, account management, delivery, project management, he is going to be a great asset to the organization. So I hope that answers your 3 questions.
I have put up on the chat window, I have put up a feedback link. So request all of you to take 2 minutes to fill up the form after the session ends, so that it will enable us to issue you the e-certificate. Unless you fill up the feedback form, we will not be able to issue you the e-certificate.
Okay, and so to add on to Srinata ma'am saying, so what we'll do is, since we have recorded this session, we'll try to put it onto the YouTube, and all those students who have registered, we have your email IDs, and we will send the link, so that later on, in case you want to access this particular video, you can also do that. Another thing, this presentation will also be shared to all the participants, so you can maybe use it for your reference if you think that is there. So this is also will be sent to all those email IDs, all students and the members who have registered for this session.
Sir, I have a question. How can you combine law with entrepreneurship?
Law with entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Okay. See, thing is, One is that, when you become maybe a lawyer and you're working in a company, you take experience and you become a independent one. And in fact, in today's times, in fact, there are companies, who are into this area of, providing this knowledge, like, how to file this IPR, this intellectual property rights, and in that area. So, you can get into those areas as an entrepreneur, whereby you are providing a legal advice to the companies in terms of, the business or the laws of the land. Let us say a company entering into India, and let us say you gain knowledge of in terms of what are the business laws of the country India. So maybe you can help a company when they want to set up a shop in India, establishing a factory in India, or maybe an office in India. So how they have to, kind of, adhere to the Indian laws, like that. So I think with laws, I think that is one of the core area for any business. In fact, you will see that on any website, disclaimer is given. Anything which you sign up, it says you read and accept the terms and conditions to our agreement. Why it is required? Because companies, they want to safeguard themselves. Maybe somebody, claims, go out and does a claim to the organization. So one example I'll give here. So what happened in America is there's a sports drink called as Red Bull. Anybody heard of that thing? Maybe Red Bull. It is available in India also nowadays.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the story is that in America, one of the American, he filed into the consumer court in America. He said it is written onto the Red Bull, this, drink can, it give you wings. He said, I drank the drink, but my wings did not grow up. And America, being that market, it says, promise what you deliver. If you're writing it on your product, it gives you wings, then it should give you wings. And that person, won the lawsuit, and millions of dollars the company had to pay to this guy because it did not give him the wings. So I think that is how it is very important that, that's the seriousness of the law in the so-called entrepreneurship. I hope that, answers your question.
And anyway, for us as an entrepreneur, you are an innovator essentially, and to protect your IP, you need to have that legal cell.
Absolutely. Filing patents, as ma'am said, you have to file a patent, something which is there. So why should somebody copy that? Like Skippy Ice Pops, which is there, or popsicle which has come. Obviously, they must have filed a patent. Nobody should copy that. If somebody copies, then this can be business for the companies who are already existing in the market. So law is very important.
Any more questions? Anybody has? Any more question?
Okay, I'm just typing my email ID in case any students maybe want to. But for MRU, I'm anyways accessible. Everybody must be knowing. So into the management department. So feel free to walk in, ask questions. We'll be happy to help you. The IIC cell, Institute Innovation Council cell. Feel free. We'll be happy to support you, mentor you, and help you in becoming and sustaining as an entrepreneur.
Okay. So I think there are no more questions. So
okay.
Can close the session. My sincere thanks to Subodh sir for conducting such a wonderful session.
Thank you.
And very valuable session you have conducted, and it's very insightful and beneficial for students and our even faculty entrepreneurs. And there are lots of takeaways from the session. You explained all the concepts beautifully with lots of examples. So my sincere thanks to the deans, HODs and students who have joined today's session and made it successful and very interactive. We are really happy to see such wonderful questions, very interesting questions. So from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank all our IIC and ESAIL faculty members, our IIC and ESAIL students for coordinating and disseminating the information of the event to all of you. So we'll have a few more sessions, in the upcoming week, and look forward to see you all in the session. In fact, Subodh sir has a session in the next week as well, Thursday, I believe, Subodh sir.
Yeah, yes.
And Dr. Manmeet Balinag has a session Wednesday next week. So you'll see set of upcoming sessions. So please join those sessions and invite your friends. Promote the events and the social media. Invite your friends from the Twin University, MRI, IRS, and make it successful. Join with full enthusiasm, and we would like to have again the upcoming sessions also very much in the interactive mode. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Sir, once again.
Yeah, thank you so much. My thanks to the entire team, everybody who participated, everybody who enabled this session, to you and everybody, the entire team of IIC, all those who joined. Thank you so much. Look forward to see you again once more. Thank you very much.
And Subodh sir, actually it doesn't need any introduction. Everyone knows in MRU.
That's so much.
The contact is already there, so you can always get in touch with him if you need any kind of help